Not every crime leaves fingerprints. Some are born in code. Welcome to truecrime.exe, where fiction feels far too real.
Good evening. Tonight's story asks a blunt question with a quiet answer. When did love turn into a ledger and a man's front door become a finish line? Before we begin, tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is there. If you like calm, ad-free, no jump-scare true crime built for late-night listening, please subscribe and tap like. It helps more than you know. Inspired by real conditions and public case dynamics, all names, places and sequences here are fictionalized for narrative clarity. Headphones on, lights low. It is a February afternoon in Brooklyn. Grey sky, salt on the sidewalks, grocery bags double knotted against the cold. On Bergen Avenue, a man parks his black sedan beside a hydrant, kills the engine, and lifts 2 paper bags from the passenger seat. His name is Rowe. He is 36, a union iron worker with shoulders that tell you what a decade of steel feels like. He has a wife upstairs, a 7-month-old daughter asleep in a blanket the color of peaches, and a list of small errands on a note folded in his pocket. The foyer door clicks shut behind him. 2 steps up. 3. He balances the weight of milk, formula, a pack of paper towels crooking into his wrist. Then, 3 quick pops. Neighbors will later argue about what they heard. Fireworks, a car backfiring, not gunshots, not at that hour, not here, not Marcus. The bags tumble. The milk bursts white across old tiles. Marcus slumps against the newel post and slides to the floor, hands reaching for a wound that doesn't negotiate. On the 2nd floor, a phone comes to life. "There's someone in my house," a woman whispers. "I heard loud popping noises. I'm in the bedroom. The door is locked. I'm alone with the baby." Her name is Rowe. "Stay where you are," the dispatcher says. "Officers are on the way. Is anyone injured?" "My husband," she says. "He just came home. I think he's down there." Her voice does not break. Not yet. Sirens learn the route to Bergen Avenue in under 4 minutes. Paramedics climb the stairs through spilled milk and groceries scattered like a parade that forgot what it was celebrating. They work while the hallway squeezes smaller and smaller around them. Marcus is wheeled into the light and taken away. He does not come back. News travels on foot in this building. Someone texts someone else. Doors open. A neighbor puts a hand on Alicia's shoulder, and it hovers there, unsure if contact is permitted in rooms like this. A detective in a navy pea coat arrives with a notebook he will fill completely before midnight. His name is Detective David Santana. He surveys the foyer. The 3 tight rounds punched center mass. The angle of approach that says the shooter stood close enough to smell laundry soap. "Home invasion," someone says. "Maybe," Santana replies. "Maybe not." In the Rowe apartment, he notes 3 small black domes mounted high in the corners of the living room. Cameras, a DVR hub in the hallway cabinet. None of it glowing. Wires hang cleanly unplugged, wound into a polite loop. "Do you usually keep these on?" he asks. "They were on when we moved in," Alicia says. "Marcus insisted." "And today?" "I don't know," she says. "I was upstairs with the baby. I heard the pops. I called you." She is wrapped in a grey robe. Her hair is pulled back. The baby sleeps. Santana studies the entry door. There are no pry marks, no kicked panel, no sliver of wood shaved by panic. If someone came to take what wasn't theirs, they brought a key, or they were let in. Downstairs, CSU dust the banister. They bag a pair of shell fragments. They swab door handles, collect footprints, photograph the milk, the groceries, the red. Then they run an inventory. Marcus kept a small safe in the bedroom closet. He had a pistol registered, kept for protection. The safe is open. The space where the pistol sits is empty. Santana writes a note beside this detail and underlines it twice. By evening, the Rowe family gathers in a small kitchen in East Flatbush. Marcus's mother, Yvonne, places a stack of photographs on the table, like a deck that might produce a better card if you keep shuffling. Marcus at 6, missing 2 teeth, front wheel off a bicycle in midair. Marcus at 19, hard hat crooked back, hands on his hips, steel behind him like a horizon. Marcus at his wedding, a smile that makes other people smile. He took care of everybody, Yvonne says. You needed help moving. He was there. You needed rent. He'd figure it out. He wasn't perfect, but he was good. Any trouble? Santana asked gently. Anyone with a reason. People have reasons you don't see coming, Yvonne says. She lifts her eyes and holds them steady. But it wasn't a stranger. Why not? Because the dogs didn't bark, she says, then almost smiles. We don't have dogs, but it still feels true. Marcus and Alicia met after Marcus's divorce. They were neighbors whose paths crossed at the mailboxes and in the laundry room. Alicia worked as a home health aide. She carried a quiet air that Marcus read as calm and control that he mistook for care. They married within a year. A small ceremony at a restaurant with red tablecloths and a ceiling fan that squeaked. A honeymoon weekend upstate by a lake that promised more summers. A daughter, Amaya, 7 months ago. Marcus built her crib himself, then rebuilt it after watching a video about crib safety at 2 a.m. He kept receipts for everything. He also kept the heat on, the car running, the insurance current, the mortgage on the condo. That one he kept at arm's length. There were notices, there were fees, there was a word the bank liked to use: foreclosure. It floated like a cloud that refused to leave even on blue sky days. Alicia liked nice things, designer bags, shoes lined in a row like a parade, a phone that came in a white box with a ribbon, trips that looked better on a screen than they felt when the credit card statement arrived. Friends said they were happy. Marcus's sister, Tasha, said she saw hairline cracks no one else wanted to notice. She could be particular, Tasha says, when Santana asks. It had to be her way. And the cameras, Santana asks. Marcus put those in, Tasha says. Said, it's Brooklyn. We'd be stupid not to. He showed me how to check the app. If he forgot to lock up, he could pop in and see. He liked that. Did Alicia like that? Tasha shrugs. I don't know what Alicia liked, except the bags. Day 2. Santana and his partner, Detective Brennan, walk the block. They pull footage from a deli across the street, a laundromat, a nail salon, a semicircle of small lives that happen to point cameras toward the same slice of sidewalk. At 12:43 p.m., a black sedan idles at the corner. The passenger steps out, hood up, hands in pockets. He walks into the building. At 12:56 p.m., Marcus pulls up. He enters. At 12:58 p.m., the hooded man emerges and walks quickly the other way. The sedan slides into traffic and is gone. No license plate in frame, no face, just a shape, a height, a gait that tells Santana the man has moved like this before, calculated, never hurried, always small. A shot of the black sedan turns up on a traffic camera 2 blocks away. The plate is obscured by grime. The driver makes an illegal U-turn. Someone did their homework, Brennan says. Someone had help, Santana replies. There are details that don't stay buried. In one of Alicia's purses, investigators find a folded letter from an insurance company. On the computer, they find 3 more. Life insurance policies carried by Marcus. 1 through the union, 1 private. 1 small accidental death rider neither of them ever read. Together, they total $900,000. The named beneficiary, Alicia Rowe. There is nothing illegal about life insurance. It is what you do when you love people. It is the grammar of adulthood. But some numbers ask to be read twice when the body that kept them breathing is 3 days gone. When Santana asks about the policies, Alicia nods. Marcus did all that, she says. Said it was the responsible thing. Did you ever discuss the amount? He told me not to worry about it, she says. He wanted us to be safe. These are words that mean one thing in a kitchen on a Tuesday and another thing entirely in an interview room under a fluorescent bulb. 4 days after the shooting, an adjuster from Heritage Life calls Detective Santana. He asks if the police have a suspect. He asks if the manner of death might delay disbursement. He asks if he should put a hold on the claim that arrived by fax the morning after Marcus died. By fax. Santana thanks him for the call. He asks for a copy of the claim. The signature at the bottom reads A. Rowe. People grieve in different ways, Brennan says when the line goes dead. Some people account, Santana replies. At week's end, the case seems both heavy and light. Heavy with grief and rumour, light on proof. Then a small corner turns. A call from a pharmacist in Bedford-Stuyvesant. A man who works weekends in the back remembers a customer named Alicia, who picks up prescriptions for an elderly client. He mentions that she sometimes lingers near the vitamin aisle, near the shelf with the cheap phone chargers, near the young man who stocks it. What's the young man's name? Santana asks. Damon Ellis, the pharmacist says. Nice kid, always on time. Ellis lives with his cousin on Quincy Street. He has a smile that apologizes for taking up space. He lets the detectives into a small apartment that smells like garlic and warm laundry. How long have you known Alicia? Santana asks. A few months, Ellis says. She'd come in, we'd talk. It just happened. What happened? We were seeing each other, he says, staring at his hands. She said her marriage was complicated. Did you ever go to her apartment? Yes, he says. When? When the baby was down for a nap, he says, a flush moving up his neck. Marcus was home sometimes, on the 2nd floor. We were on the 1st. It wasn't... I know how that sounds. Did Marcus know? Ellis shakes his head. Did Alicia ever ask you for something that felt outside the lines? Santana asks. Ellis hesitates. She asked me if I knew anyone who could take care of a problem, he says finally. I thought she meant a debt collector. I told her I didn't know anybody like that. She said she was joking. Then she wasn't. What else did she ask for? There was a long pause. She asked me to get a gun, he says. Santana does not write anything down for 10 seconds. The room seems to tilt and then right itself. Did you? He asks. She gave me one, Ellis says. Said it was Marcus's. Said it would be easier that way. Pieces that sat quietly on the table begin to click. The empty slot in Marcus's safe. The cameras unplugged. The black sedan idling. The 3 shots. The immediate insurance claim. Ellis keeps talking because sometimes there is relief even when you are drowning. She gave me money, he says. She said it was for a friend who could help. I gave the gun and the cash to a guy named Kirk, a friend of a friend. I didn't ask his last name. How much money? $3,500, he says. She said there would be more later. What did Kirk say he would do? He said he would take care of it, Ellis says. I didn't think... I knew what it meant, but I thought it wouldn't happen. People say things they don't mean. People mean the thing they pay for, Santana says quietly. The black sedan appears again, this time on a camera outside a pawn shop on Nostrand. The plate is cleaner here. The number is legible. It belongs to a rental registered to a woman in Brownsville who says she lent it to her cousin, who lent it to a friend who doesn't answer his phone. The friend's name, Kirk Portis. When officers find Portis on a stoop in East New York, he has a new phone, a thin jacket, and an expression that says he knows the order these events will take. He denies everything for 30 minutes. Then he doesn't. Yeah, he says, eyes on the floor. I went in. He came in with groceries. I did what I was paid to do. I walked out. He says the gun was small. He says the hallway smelled like milk and bleach. He says he threw the gun in the river. He says his life has been a long series of doors, and this one was just another. Who paid you? Santana asks. Alicia's boy, he says. The pharmacy kid. Did you meet Alicia? Portis shakes his head. Didn't need to, he says. Money is the only introduction I use. Alicia is arrested on a Friday afternoon. She is leaving the condo with a diaper bag and a list. She does not resist. She does not ask for a coat. She does not ask to make a call. At the precinct, she narrows her world to the 2 feet of table in front of her and places her hands flat on it. Innocent, she says. I am innocent. Her lawyer meets her eyes and says nothing. The charges are heavy. Murder in the 1st degree, conspiracy, criminal possession of a weapon, solicitation. In the courtroom on Monday morning, the gallery is full. Marcus's mother sits with her hands knotted around a handkerchief that belonged to her own mother. Alicia's mother sits 2 rows back, lips pressed into a line that may be prayer or curse. The prosecutor lays out a story with the bland care of a doctor giving bad news. It is a story in which love is a rope pulled until it snaps. It is a story in which money grows teeth. He talks about debt. He talks about foreclosure notices. He talks about 3 life insurance policies totaling $900,000 that Alicia attempted to collect within 24 hours of Marcus's death. He talks about cameras unplugged. He talks about a safe left open. He talks about a registered pistol removed without permission. He talks about text messages in which Alicia asks Ellis for a favor, and Ellis replies that he has a guy. He talks about a call the morning of the murder, a call that pings cell towers near Alicia's building, then near the pawn shop, then near the scene again. He plays the 911 recording. "There's someone in my house," Alicia says on the tape. "I heard popping noises. I'm in the bedroom with the baby." In the tape, you can hear nothing of the foyer below. You can only hear a heartbeat in the silence between words and the soft hush of a baby breathing. The defense calls Alicia a bad wife, not a murderer. They call Ellis a liar. They say Marcus and Alicia argued like people argue and loved like people love. They say that the cameras were unplugged because the previous night the DVR had chirped and the noise bothered the baby. They say the safe's key went missing and Marcus himself sometimes left it open. They say that people are messy and grief is a tenderizer and the state is cruel. They say Portis is a criminal you cannot trust and Ellis is a coward looking for a smaller cell. They say Alicia is a mother. They say a lot of things. The jury listens. They take notes in tidy handwriting. They go home each night to their own tables and wonder what is owed to whom and whether security and love are ever really the same word. A story like this doesn't turn on one piece of evidence. It turns on a drift of them, tiny, sharp, cumulative. A timestamp on a street camera that places a black sedan exactly where it shouldn't be. A deposit made in cash at a bank branch 2 days after the murder by a man who never had cash to deposit before. A smudge on the inside of a safe door that yields DNA that isn't Marcus's and isn't Alicia's and makes Ellis's face go white when the lab report arrives. A claim form faxed to an insurer before the medical examiner had signed a death certificate. A Google search on Alicia's laptop asking if insurance pays out on homicide. A neighbor says she saw Alicia on the stairs the day before with a bundle of cables and a look that made the neighbor take a step back. A text from Alicia to Ellis reads, "Do not text about this." A text from Ellis to Portis reads, "Today." A text from Portis to a number that doesn't work anymore reads, "Done." When the verdict comes, it is fast. 3 hours. The jury files in. No eye contact. The foreperson stands. "Guilty," he says. A sound moves through the courtroom that is not a cheer and not a sob. Relief makes strange music. Kirk Portis receives life. Damon Ellis takes a deal, 15 years to life, in exchange for testimony that stings to hear even when you already knew what he would say. Alicia Rowe is sentenced to life without parole. Her lawyer says they will appeal. She says she is innocent. The judge says words about trust and the reckoning of small decisions that teach themselves to add up. Outside, the sky is the same grey it was when the shots were fired. The salt lines on the sidewalks haven't moved. It is winter still. At Marcus's funeral, Yvonne stands beside a wooden box that costs more than she is willing to tell anyone. Beneath her fingertips, the polish is cold. Alicia comes through the line of mourners. She wears black that fits perfectly and a face that does not change. She reaches for Yvonne's hand. Yvonne does not take it. "You had choices," she says quietly. "My son had one." Later, by the grave, Yvonne says something else that sticks to the air. "Why not divorce?" she says to no one and everyone. Why not tell the truth and walk away? Why turn a house into a graveyard when a lawyer would have done? Nobody answers. There is a shovel. There is dirt. There is the complicated business of lowering a man into the ground while the city keeps moving around him, as if nothing is happening at all. Time does what time does. It carries people forward whether they are ready or not. Amaya learns to walk. She learns to say Dada, because that is how babies understand ghosts. On a certain morning in May, she toddles into the kitchen, lifts her arms, and the entire room chokes on a picture of Marcus doing the same when he was small. Yvonne takes Amaya to the park. She wears comfortable shoes and the kind of smile that hurts. Detective Santana files the case. He knows there are more like it. There are always more. He tells himself that justice is a habit, not a holiday. He tells himself that doing the work quietly is the only way it gets done. Sometimes, on his way home, he passes Bergen Avenue and slows down, as if the street could still be taught a kinder story. People will argue about why Alicia did what she did. They will use words like greed and survival and narcissism. They will say Marcus should have seen it. They will say Alicia should have left. They will say Ellis should have run. They will say Portis should have said no. They will say the detective got lucky. They will say the jury got it wrong. People will say a lot of things because saying things is how we test the bars of our own cages. But some fact do not ask for commentary. A man went to the store for milk and formula and paper towels. He came home. He set his shoulder against the door because that's what doors require. He died before he could drop his keys in the bowl by the radiator. 3 shots, unplugged cameras, an open safe, a black sedan. A claim form faxed too quickly. A baby asleep upstairs. A ledger where a marriage should have been. If you're still with me, thank you for listening with care. If you want more slow, sleep-friendly true crime with no jump scares and a lot of attention to the people left behind, please subscribe and tap like. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. I never get tired of seeing the map light up. Sleep safe.
Case closed. Archived in the synthetic vault. If you dare to return, the next file awaits. truecrime.exe. The line between fiction and fear.